this long list thing to read out to you. Right, okay. Where am I going first? Right, tonight we've got Janet Sargeant, a mixed bag journey to the truth of all truths. The fat lady is singing Hallelujah, Hosanna. Janet Sargeant brings together a varied range of personal experiences in her search of the truth, from strawmen, bailiffs, ayahuasca, flat earth, the final grand deception, the biggest lie and the greatest truth. Janet will attempt to join the dots and bring into focus how through being willfully fooled, we readily accept the spoon-fed drivel constantly being poured into our minds that takes away our God-given rights as a human being to be still and know God. Yes, God. Yeah. Probably the truth that will, will resist the most. As Janet and many others resisted at first, the trouble is the truth is so obvious that it's often overlooked. Keep your hearts and minds wide open and let the encounter begin. Please welcome Janet Sargeant.
Thank you. Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm just going to start by saying I'm a very simple woman, and I'm going to explain this very simply using pictures of what's happened to me.
Sorry. Cool.
Is that better?
Yeah.
It's a bit echoey.
And I'll sort that. I'll try and sort that. There you go. Try that.
So that's why it's a mixed bag journey, because a lot of things have happened to me. I'm searching for the truth, diving down all the rabbit holes, and there's nothing I haven't really tried. Ayahuasca being probably the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. So that being said, we'll start. So about 4 months ago maybe, I was driving through Thornton and I saw one of these signs and I was thrilled. I thought, yes, it's out. Oh my God, because I've been looking at, not the legal name fraud, but the birth certificate. And I went and took a picture of it. And I thought, it's not in the internet anymore, it's out there. But I found out last week that this is probably a scam as well, because as much as they bring things out, they want to cover it up as well. So let's go on to the birth certificate. This is how my simple mind began to understand what the birth certificate meant. So you register at birth, your parents register at birth, and what you're actually doing is handing the baby over to the state without realising. If the baby's been born in a state-registered hospital and touched by a state-registered midwife or paediatrician, then that baby belongs to the state and you've got to get it registered within so many weeks. If it's not touched by a state-registered midwife or paediatrician, then you don't have to get it registered. But then what would you do if you didn't get it registered? Because it won't be able to do anything. So this was my way of understanding. So a paper twin baby is created that's separate from me and is owned by the Crown Corporation, and it clearly says, not on my birth certificate because I looked, it doesn't say copyright, but on my children's birth certificate I can see it here, Crown copyright, and also saying not evidence of identity. Sorry. And also they attach to it, this is the way I've understood this from my learning, they attach the title to the name, Master, Miss, Mr, Mrs, etc. Because they own that title. So they adjoin it to your birth certificate bond is created. They then change the name to all capitals, which creates a separate person, which can be used in legal matters, legal fiction person, a corporate entity, and this is how you are recognised in the world by other corporations. The rules and regulations placed upon the person are based on laws of the sea, maritime admiralty law, details pertaining to how you arrived, birthed or birthed from your mother's waters, and a multitude of other regulations can be imposed on your person from the state because of this paper. Your rights are taken and privileges are given in exchange for your name at registration, and full disclosure was not given to your parents. And this is where the fraud originally starts, because I'm sure that if my mum knew that there was another me, she'd be like, no way, you're not creating another one of her, there's just no way. So they've not, most parents wouldn't. You're giving your child away and it's going to cost you a lot of money as well. They're complicated methods to confuse our simple minds, and your life is paid for in full just because you're here and breathing. When I found out about the bond, I've not found out enough about that yet, but apparently just because you arrive in the world and your birth certificate's there, it's worth about, I think, £990,000. So basically, it's, the way I've got my head around it again is, you can't own you can't patent something that's alive, you can't own it. So what can you do? So you can pretend or make something else so that you do own it, but you own the paper. And if you stick the paper onto the flesh, you think you are the paper. And it's the paper that goes out into the world, not the flesh. Because you can't get anywhere in this world without your birth certificate. It's like a ticket, but you didn't come here with a ticket, you don't need one. We are classed as chattel or cargo on a ship used for the purposes of commercial law and commerce from the identity of the paper person. A corporation which can then be used to do business with other corporations with the law of contracts in order for the living being to access the world. Other corporations include the health service, education system, the councils, governments, benefit system, banking systems, passport agency, DVLA, etc. It's like, wow. So you haven't got a choice, you're sort of in the state whether you like it or not, and they've made a lot of money off you without you even knowing. And it's like you've arrived, so everything's free, I think, in this world. God gave you everything. You plant a seed in the ground and it just grows. You don't have to do anything. Water, we breathe the air, everything's free, but they want to charge for everything so they can enslave us. Well, this is at the Black's Law Dictionary, but again, somebody said that's a bit corrupt last week. A human being considered capable of having rights and of being charged with duties, while a thing is the object over which the rights may be exercised. Persons are divided by law into natural and artificial. Natural persons are such as the God of nature formed us. Artificial are such as created and devised by human laws for the purposes of society and government, which are called corporations or bodies politic. So it's like there's a flesh and blood you, and there's the paper you. You can't go out into the world as flesh without the paper. So they really do own, and I've read all of Kate of Guy's stuff and all of Mary Elizabeth Croft, I read all of her stuff, and I was really starting to understand, I'm suffering. A man can't tell me what to do, but if I accept that paper, then I have to abide by the rules of that. It's give it to me, and to be in the state and to get anywhere. So I couldn't access the hospitals or the schools, you've no say in anything, we all have to abide by it, we have no choice. I thought this was really funny. I hope we're having a corporation. So a natural person, human being in law, living soul, created by the image of the Creator, possessing inherent inalienable rights, can never be removed, a human being. And an artificial person, a fictional entity in law, a corporation created on paper by governments, given some limited rights and privileges by its creator which can be easily removed. So to get any of these, you need your birth certificate. I looked into this, so a baby obviously hasn't got any other form of identity, so they ask for the birth certificate, but then they use the parents' passports and national insurance numbers to join to that baby as well. It's like, but it does state clearly on the birth certificate it's not to be used for evidence of identity because it's just a piece of paper. And if you take that piece of paper thinking it's you, then they own you, they own your life. This is laws of the sea as well. It's like, wow. Under UCC, by contracting such as applying for licences, your original rights are in-turn privileges and they can lien you or set limitations on you. Your right to travel now turns into a privilege to travel. Your right to freedom of speech now turns into a privilege to protest. Your right to hold property now turns into an asset that can be seized. Your right to hunt for forage for food now turns into a privilege to fish and can be fined. These are just a few examples of the usurping UCC corporate statutes. So they're turning living entities into corporations, and people are just getting on with their lives, and the oppression is getting worse and worse and worse. People in workplaces, it's like you go to the hospital and they're busy ticking boxes, and my friend said the lady's giving birth and we've got to tick all the boxes first. The schools are the same. In your own workplaces you'll probably know about it. It's all about the paperwork, it's all about the paper. The paper's taking over the world and forgetting about the flesh, and the healing and the care that nurses once had that they don't have anymore. So again, my simple mind, this is how I've put it all together. God's law, whether you believe in God or not, is to do no harm to others or their property. This is the basic definition of law. It's also the definition of freedom. For all men are free under God's law in the United States of America and England, until the point where we break that law. You cannot break the law unless there is a living victim for which you do harm or do harm to their property. Now that's very simple. Again, simple. And it sounds right and it feels right. Does it feel right to you? Does it feel right to you?
Yeah.
So legal. The word legal or illegal is a corporate term used to represent a state of being which related to statutes, rules, codes, mandates, supposed limits that are assigned to you by the United Kingdom. While something can be unlawful, it can be legal. But remember, law always trumps legality. In the case of something being legal, no living victim is required under corporate legality. And so the state assumes the role of the victim. It's just cheeky. I've got a friend who's a solicitor, and when I've spoken to her about any of these things, she laughs at me because they're not trained up in law, they're trained up in legalese and legal, because that's the world of paper, and that's where they can get the control over your life and enslave you. And when you go to court, the barrister, the solicitor is all representing your flesh. You don't need representing because you're there. How can you be represented as a piece of paper? You're already there. I don't need to be represented. And the solicitors and the barristers have a duty to the court first, so they're not really representing you anyway, they're representing your paper in the court so that they can do the paper, but you stick it on your flesh because you've accepted the solicitors stick up for you, thinking that that's what they're doing, but they're not, and they're also charging you probably thousands of pounds to do it. It's disgusting. So what started happening to me, because I started looking into all this, I got a council tax. Oh, it's a bailiff letter I think I got. A bailiff letter from the council tax by a council. And I thought, So I rang the council and I said, I think I've not paid, I haven't moved in the house that long. I said, I've got a letter from the bailiffs, and I said, can I sort it out with you? She went, no, I'm sorry, it's been passed over now, so, we can't do anything about it. And I was like, wow. I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna have to do this, what I've been reading about. I'm gonna have to face it and see what happens. So I'd already written quite a few letters to the loans, the credit cards and banks, things, and they didn't come back, nothing came back with the get out of .org. I used their template, started to understand what I was doing, put my own stuff in there as well, and yeah, that worked. But with the council tax, they weren't stopping, and they were sending letters. I was having a bit of a tennis match, sending letters back and forth. They never answered any of my questions, and then one day I was dancing to Bob Marley or something, Stand Up For Your Rights, funnily enough, and some information came into my head. And it was like telling me what to do when the bailiffs come. The bailiffs are coming, and here's what you do. I was like, right, okay. So sure enough, about 2 weeks later, there was a knock on the door, but it was at 11:30 at night, and I looked out the window, and it was a police officer. I thought, oh my God. Oh. I went into my daughter, I said, what have you done? The police are here. She went, I haven't done anything. I said, well, what do they want? She went, I don't know. And I was like, oh God, I'm going to have to do it to the police. So I thought, right, just do it. So I went out the back, put my coat on, I went out the back door, locked the door, I locked the gate, and I went round to the alley. And I think he had a torch or something. And I just put my hand up. I said, who are you? I said, well, I'm a police officer. I said, well, I don't know that. You could be dressed up for all I know. I said, get off my property. Off, get off. And he went back to the pavement, and then I was a bit terrified, but I just thought, I'm going for it. I was practicing, so I come out with some stuff. I said, do not speak to me. I said, I don't give you permission to speak to me. I said, anything you've got to say, I don't want to hear. And to be fair, that is right. In that moment, I don't know that man. He's a total stranger. So I don't care what you've got to say. I don't care where you've come from. I don't care who you work for. I don't care if you've got a uniform on. I don't know you. You're a stranger. Now get lost. So I said, I don't want your voice resounding in my ears. Something like that. And he started trembling. And I thought, oh God, what does he want now? And I was practicing, and he just went, I'm here for a missing girl. I said, okay, I apologise, who is it? and it was one of my daughter's friends had gone missing, so that was okay. But I thought, oh, you know. But I did it. I did what I was told to do, and he went back. Anyway, so I thought, right, well, the bailiffs will definitely go. So about a week later, knock on the door, I thought it's a bailiff. So I locked the front door, I went to the blind, and peeked through the blind, and this guy, who was about that tall, with his glasses on the end of his nose, looking down at me in my own house like a naughty school kid. What the flipping head do you think you are? You know, so again, put my coat on, I went round the back, I locked the gate, I didn't speak, I just said, get off my property. I didn't look at off, and he wouldn't move, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do now. I wanted to push him. He was intimidating, he was really tall, and he still was looking down at me like I was a naughty schoolgirl. Oh, you cheeky so-and-so. So I was like, I said, have you seen the notice in the window? Because I had no trespass notice. And he said, yeah. And I said, get off my property. You're trespassing. He said, it's not illegal. So I said, well, I'm not legal. But what I should have said was, it's unlawful, but I was still practising. And then I said, he said, this is being filmed. I said, what? You've come on my property and filmed me without my permission? What, are you a pervert or something? And he looked at me, I said, right. I said, I'm going to film you. So I ran back in to get my phone. When I come back, he'd gone. And I mean, like, gone, like, oh, it's gone. I thought, right, okay, that worked. So then, about 2 weeks after that, a knock at the door. No, somebody posted something through my door about 8:30 in the morning. I was getting the kids ready for school. I was on my own in the house with the kids. And I saw this van outside, and like a black shiny van. I thought, oh my God, it's really, quite intimidating. So I did the same. He picked his paper up. And I find it always odd how they post those papers unsealed through your door, so they can't actually prove whether you read it or not. But I didn't read it anyway, it wasn't mine. So I went round the back, I knocked on his window, I said, don't post your rubbish in my letterbox, it's not a bin. Because he brought that, that's not mine. I didn't ask for that, so that's his. And I said, would you mind moving your van? I need to take my child to school. And he said, no, we'll come for your car. I said, what? I said, what do you mean you've come for my car? He said something about an unpaid council tax bill, and it was like, well, you don't know anything about me. I said, you don't even know who I am. And he said, you're Janet Sargeant. I said, am I? How do you know? I've never met you before. How do you know who I am? Because he can't know who I am. He's never seen me before. He doesn't know me. He's a stranger. So I said to him, I was terrified. I was shaking. My child came out, and he was terrified, and it's like, and this guy was like, have I got a picture of him? Wait a minute. There he is. He was like a carpet carrier, like a hunky chunky thing, and so was the other one. I was like, I get really mad. I need to learn not to get mad, but when my adrenaline's pumping, so maybe I acted a bit out of order. So I said, move. He said, no. And so I've read something like, if you sit in your car, they can't do anything. So I sat in my car and I couldn't move. And I was like, what do I do now? I'm going to get the kids to school and I'm going to move. And I was like, I didn't want to get in the car, out the car. I've got to give him the paper back, so I've not accepted the paper. So he should go. And I don't know what they were going to do, but I went up and I said, move. He said, no. So I was like, you don't know who I am? I said, okay, who are you? So he said, well, I'm such a body from such a place. So I said, oh, a piece of plastic round your neck. I said, flipping heck. I said, oh, is that a photograph of you on as well? And your name? I said, oh, is that in case you forget who you are? I said, that's not you, I can see you, I can hear you. I could even touch you, but I don't want to. I said, I don't know you. I've never seen you before. You've not been around for a cup of tea and a slice of cake. I said, I don't know you. And I don't know about you, but I'm only alive now. Now, that's it. So when now was then, he can't touch me because I don't need representing. He was trying to stick that paper on me so we could engage with this plastic, and get the job done, whatever. And it was like, I don't care who you are, who you work for, what your name is. well, whether you like Christmas cake or not, I believe in Santa. It's none of my business. You're not invited here. Now go. They weren't moving. And I said, oh, you work for the devil, all sorts of... How am I going to get rid of them? Really intimidating. Anyway, reinforcements came.